few years ago, I made an illustration that was inspired by what comes to my mind when I think of happiness. An imaginary place that I go to when I'm feeling anxious or stressed. Of course, back then, I still didn't really have the technical skills to convey what was in my mind, and to be honest, I still don't really think I do. But it's something I've been really working on, and I think that I'm getting closer and closer with each piece. So as always, I start with a very rough sketch to get an idea of the composition. Since this is a repaint of an old illustration, I wanted to keep the main subject the same, which is the woman sitting next to a window. But of course, this time around, I wanted to add a lot more detail to the piece to make it seem more like it's a house that's lived in, it's a home. My goal with this piece was to really convey that feeling of coziness and being at peace. Right here, you can see me changing up the position of the leg a little bit. And I think this is actually kind of interesting because I didn't want to make the pose exactly the same in the last piece. And this is honestly a more relaxed position. And I feel like it kind of portrays how I become more comfortable with my style and just I feel a lot more relaxed in my work, a little bit more sure of myself. For this piece, I actually did several sketch layers, just getting a little bit more detailed with each one. This was, I think, the last sketch I did before going towards the line art. And here you can really see me struggling with the position of the foot. I am not good at anatomy at all, and I really struggled with this pose, to be honest. I looked at a lot of different references. I even took a picture of myself in this position, and it took me a long time to really get something that I felt comfortable with. And here you can see I'm just blocking in some basic colors. I kind of had an idea of the color scheme that I wanted, but you know, as usual, I just try to get something down, putting all the colors on different layers. As you can see here, I wasn't happy with what I was doing, and I accidentally put them on wrong layers, so I deleted everything I had and started again. Once I have the basic colors blocked in, I like to start doing some rendering, working on the shadows, some of the light, just putting more and more detail in as I go. I feel like I'm slowly getting better and better at doing some rendering for wood. I've been trying to do more and more studies on textures like wood, stone, water, etc. So I was actually pretty happy with how the wood turned out in this piece. These candles were actually really fun to paint. I looked at several references, trying to get an idea of how candles really looked. I wanted the candles to give off this really cozy, warm glow. And here you can see me changing around the plant a lot. I wasn't really happy with how the plant was coming out. I was trying different textures. Wasn't really sure what kind of plant I wanted to do, so I just deleted the layer and decided I would come back to it later. And once I started adding in the shadows and the highlights, the piece really started to come together, as it usually does. This is my favorite part of doing an illustration because it really brings everything together. It really gets the mood of the piece. When working on this background, I wanted to create a place that I could imagine myself living in. For me, my favorite landscapes are mountains and forests, so I wanted to create these really beautiful, majestic, snowy mountains in the background, but then have a forest below with a really cozy small village with glowing lights at the bottom. I was really happy with how this part turned out, especially with the northern lights in the background, and I wish I could just jump into this illustration and live in this little village. And here I'm just putting the final details on the piece, so I think I will leave you here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this piece as much as I enjoyed doing it. I'll see you in the next video.